Hi guys, I am 30 years old. My birthday was a couple days ago. It was awesome. So far this is my favorite age. I've only been 30 for like a week, but it's been so good. Just every single day I've just hung out with Jenson, hung out with my husband. Haven't had to go to work yet or anything, so it's been a good year. I thought I would do a video, 30 things that I've learned in 30 years. That's Jenson over there, playing on his mat. He's happy. Sometimes he sounds mad when he's happy, but he's happy, don't worry. And anyway, it was kind of hard to think of just like 30 random things because I was trying to mix in like things from my like teenage years and college years and now. Oh great, he has the hiccups. Even things that I learned as a kid. So I thought I would just do like the main lesson that I learned at each age. So here we go. When I was 1, I learned that I loved this stuffed animal named Bobby, and I still have him. Derek kicked him out of our bed once we got married, but I loved him, so I want to get Jenson like a really cool stuffed animal too that he can love. By the time I was 2, I had already learned to be really bossy, and we have like video of me bossing everyone around, adults, kids, anyone. When I was 3, I learned to throw toys at my little sister. She was a baby when I was 3, and she would be in that little walker. And we have video of me doing this too. I would like share with her, but I would just throw toys, like sharp plastic toys, at her tray, and then they'd bounce up and hit her in the face. That was a good skill. When I was 4, I think that's when I learned how to lie, or at least that's my first memory of lying. My mom made a cake and told me not to touch it, and I think I like found something to stand on. And I reached up on the counter and I ate some of it, and my parents asked me if I did, and I just kept saying no over and over again, and then I got in trouble for lying, and I was like, dang it, this doesn't work. Like if you lie to get out of trouble, you just get in trouble for lying. When I was 5, I specifically remember learning that 1 o'clock comes after 12 o'clock, and like our kindergarten teacher asked that question, and I raised my hand and I got it, and I was very proud that I knew that. When I was 6, I learned that if your dad tells you he's gonna spank you, I'm not gonna spank you. He's going to. Me and my best friend Susanna were in 1st grade, and we'd always talk, and our teacher like called our house, I guess, and then my dad told me if I got my name on the board one more time for talking, then I was gonna get a spanking, and we still got our names on the board for talking, and I got a spanking, and I was like, oh, this is not fun. I better do what my teachers say. When I was 7, I learned how to win at Foursquare. Foursquare was really big at our school, and I went to this like small Christian school, and so there's only like a couple 2nd graders, a couple 3rd graders, so we were playing with like 8th graders, and I was a 2nd grader, and I would learn how to like beat 7th and 8th graders. It was super fun. When I was 8, I remember writing stories all the time. That's like when I learned how to write stories, and I would like ask my teacher if I could read them in front of the class. Oh, how annoying. And I entered this like story writing contest, and I got 2nd place. The kid who won was really good at drawing dinosaurs, so he got 1st place. Mine was about some beavers or squirrels or something, but I got to go to like the PBS studios in some big city. It definitely wasn't our town, but I got to like travel, and my mom sewed me an outfit. I remember it was very cool. It had a vest, yeah. Let's see, when I was 9, I learned how to raise pigs. That's when I got my first 4-H pig, and mine was underweight, and so if they aren't at least 200 pounds by the time of like the fair when you sell them, then you can't sell them if they're not 200 pounds. So I had to like get it to gain weight. So when I was 9 years old, I'd go out there with a bunch of beer, and I'd have to put beer in my pig's food. Her name was Essence. So I'd put beer in Essence's food, and that helped her gain weight. So hey, if, you know, you ever need your pigs to gain weight, give them beer. When I was 10, I learned all of the state capitals. I remember being very proud of that. That's like the year in California when you do all the state stuff. You still have those hiccups, huh, buddy? They don't seem to bother him. They just like bother me. I'm like, are you okay? Where were we? When I was 11, that was 6th grade, I learned how to change who I was to make friends, or to like, you know, if I wanted to be friends with these people, I had to act this way. If I wanted to be friends with those people, I had to change and act this way. And there were only like a few girls at my school. There's like only a couple options of friends, and these this one group of girls, if you wanted to be friends with them, then you also had to have a boyfriend that was friends with their boyfriend. So I just like got a boyfriend that was friends with their boyfriends, and it was really stupid. And 6th grade was a terrible year. That was not a fun year. I just compromised everything I was, and I was super unhappy. So in 7th grade, actually, I switched schools to a bigger school, and I loved it. What I learned in 7th grade when I was 12. Oh, yes. When I was 12, I learned that basketball is life. That's all I cared about in the world. I think I was probably the best basketball player at my school because that's just all I cared about, and I just didn't even worry about anything else, and I would like challenge people to play me at lunch all the time, and I would work on my skills all the time. My dad was the basketball coach. Well, like not my basketball coach, but he coached some of the other teams. So I got to I would just go to extra practices with him, and like if they were ever needed an extra player on any teams, I would just play with them. So I was obsessed with basketball. Let's see, in 8th grade when I was 13. Oh yeah, this was the year I learned about the 19th Amendment from Mr. Finkel, and I learned about women's rights and suffrage, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I had a really good 8th grade history teacher, and he really fostered like communication, and so we had like this gender war in my class. And I would always, like, anytime the conversation came to gender, women, I would like make some big comment, you know, and then like these other boys would be like, go make me a sandwich, and I'd be like, that's sexist. So yeah, we had a fun year. When I was 14, that's when I got into high school, and I feel like with high school sports, that's when I learned how to like run really hard and like push my body, and how like it was just way cooler to use your body for sports and like to be strong and like score points, instead of like half the girls in my class were learning that you could use your body to get senior boys to like you or junior boys to like you. I tried that for like a hot second. I dated a junior for like 1 month, and then I was like, this is stupid. I'm just gonna it was during basketball season, and I was like, it's throwing off my game. So yeah, I was all about just sports and using my body for that instead of being dumb. Yes, yes, honey. When I was 15, I learned all of the plant names in the Pacific Northwest. When you were a sophomore at my high school, you took biology, and you got to go on a week-long trip up to like Humboldt County, and we slept in tents, and we slept on the beach, and then we like had a campground, and we went on these super long hikes, and we had notebooks, plant notebooks, and we'd have to identify all of the plants on this super long trail, and it was really cool. And if I went back, I think it would probably kind of come back to me, but we knew like hundreds of plants and banana slugs and trees and all kinds of stuff. It was so cool. When I was 16, I learned that real best friends scrapbook and watch the OC with you and eat pot stickers instead of like going to crazy parties and, you know, just being all around dumb. So me and my best friend Rochelle, what's up Rochelle, that was like, that's what we preferred to do. Like sometimes we go to parties and stuff, but then we'd be like, hey, do you want to just like go scrapbook and like I have some episodes of the OC recorded and make some pot stickers? And we'd be like, yeah. And that was way more fun. That was way cooler. That's what real best friends do, and we're still best friends. When I was 17, that's when I decided that like I really wanted to do music, and I remember I switched out of calculus, something calculus, into choir, and my teacher was like, you're gonna switch for choir. And I was like, yes, because that's what's actually gonna be useful in my life. I'm gonna be a music major. So he made me sing in order to get his signature on my like pass to get out of his class. So I had to sing my way out of calculus. Let's see, when I was 18, that's when I was a music major, and I moved down to LA, well, Azusa, it's not really LA, but to me it was like the big city, from my little tiny small Northern California town. And that's when I learned what like designer bags were. Like I remember people talking about like Louis Vuitton, and I had no idea what that was, and like Chanel and all this stuff, and there were all these stores down here I'd never heard of, all these restaurants. Like I feel like that was my induction into like actual American culture. Like all I had known before that was like 4-H and sports. So that was a big year for me. When I was 19, this is when I learned not to put tea in the microwave. He was actually really happy down there, but I just wanted to pick him up and see what was going on. So anyway, when I was 19, that's when I learned not to put tea in the microwave. I moved to England, to York, England. I went to Calvary Chapel Bible College there. Totally recommend it. It was amazing. If you can ever do like a study abroad year, do it. And mine wasn't even really study abroad. It was just like Bible college, but it was way cheaper than actually studying abroad. It's just that my units didn't count. But anyway, the first morning I got there, I put my tea in the microwave, like with the water, and my roommates who were from England were like, "What are you doing? This is blasphemous." And they had the little like electric tea kettle. So from that moment on, I've always had an electric tea kettle. Let's see, what is next, Jenson? What is next? When I was 20, that's when I learned to teach piano lessons. I moved back from England and I didn't really want to live in Susanville, so I moved in with some friends from Azusa Pacific. I wasn't going there, but they were, and I was living with them, and I needed a job. And I went into this music store to buy some sheet music that I needed for one of my classes, and they just like asked me if I wanted to teach piano. They're like, "Do you teach piano?" And I was like, "Sure I do." I didn't, but I learned how to real quickly, and I did that for like 8.5 or 9 years, and that's what, you know, paid my bills all the way through college and even into my teaching career. So yeah, that was a good thing to learn. Let's see, buddy, what else? When I was 21, that was when I learned heartbreak. I had never really had like serious boyfriends before. I kind of didn't even when I was 21, but you know, when you're older, things are just a little bit more serious. And that was, 21 was probably the worst year ever, but I also learned that God picks you up even when you're at the bottom of, you know, where you could ever even have imagined yourself, and He restores you and can put you back together no matter what has happened in your life. So it was my hardest year ever, but you know, out of some of the hardest things come some of like the best miracles in your life. So I wouldn't go back to being 21, but I'm glad I made it through. When I was 22, that's when I met my husband. Well, I technically met him when I was 21, but it was like right at the end of that year, and I was still kind of a mess. But as I like got to know Derek during that year, I learned that real love is healing. And I remember, there's this song by India Ari called He Heals Me, I think is what it's called. He heals me. And it's so good. I remember listening to that song and just being like, yes, this is what my boyfriend has done for me in my life. And you know, before that I just kind of dated like, whatever, just to entertain myself in some way. But once you find somebody that can really heal you, and like, you know, you can show them the worst parts of yourself and they can make you feel better, that is when you have found real love. Let's see, 23. Oh, 23 is when I got married. And I learned that in marriage, me and Derek always say this to each other because this is what our pastor, Jenson, one of the people you're named after, he always says to his wife, he always says, "If you ever leave me, I'm coming with you." And we learned in our marriage that that has to be your attitude. Like, that is your only ultimatum. If you ever leave me, I'm coming with you. Not, you know, if you do this, I'm gonna leave you. If you do this, I'm gonna be mean to you forever, or whatever. Like, if you don't do this, then I'm not gonna do this. No, you can't be that way. You have to be always pursuing your husband or your wife. Even when they are unlovable, that's when they need love the most. And so even, you know, if they're seeming like they're walking away from you, just even like emotionally or whatever, go after them. Follow them, even when it seems like they're kind of turning away. When I was 24, that was like right when the recession was like at its worst and the teaching shortage was at its worst. So I had a degree and I had a credential, but I had no job. And it was not a great time. We had to move from where we lived so my husband could follow a job, and we learned how to survive on no money. We had no money in our bank account. I had gotten hired at this one school like by the principal, and so we like paid the rent at our apartment, you know, in that city, and like just did all these things. And then it turned out that like that job fell through because I hadn't signed a contract yet. Never do that. Don't make plans until you have signed a contract. And so we moved to Long Beach with nothing, with no money. Like the deposit and everything on our apartment was just everything we had in the world. And all I did, I worked at the YMCA, like after school programs, and then taught piano lessons on the weekends. And my husband worked for a university. He was a researcher, which didn't pay a ton. So we had nothing. And somehow we made it through that year. I don't know how, but you learn how to. Let's see, 25. When I was 25, that's when I started teaching history. And I learned that I love teaching history. That is my favorite thing to do. I learned so much in general just that year, my first year of teaching. I loved those kids. They are going to be seniors this year. I think, are they already seniors? No, they're going to be seniors. And some of them I still follow like on Instagram and stuff, and they were just such a cool class. I loved those kids. That was a big year of learning for me. Oh, he just fell asleep down here. Sorry, he's like out of the shot, but he's super comfy, I guess. When I was 26, I learned how to start a drama program from scratch. That's when I moved to my last school, and just through like a weird sequence of events, my parents met this guy at a bar up in Northern California. Turns out he's like a millionaire and he loves the arts, and he actually lives down here right by me. And he ended up funding this drama program that I had no idea how to start or organize or put on a play or whatever, but I figured it all out and it was awesome. What did we put on the first year? Aladdin. Aladdin was amazing. It's on YouTube actually. I have it linked somewhere. Maybe I can link it again, but yeah, that was a really cool learning experience. Let's see, 27, we're moving closer to 30. Oh yeah, 27 was really the year in my master's program that I narrowed in on the Virgin Islands history and Rothschild Francis, and so I learned everything there was to know about Rothschild Francis. I think I may know more about him than anyone living right now. I think so. I did finish my master's thesis on him. That's your great-great-grandfather. Yes, it is. Yes. Pretty soon you'll know all about him too. Yeah, so I learned all about Virgin Islands civil rights and Rothschild Francis. When I was 28, I think that's when I really learned how to write well, and I'm talking like 30-page papers or 35-page papers. And maybe when I was 26 and 27 a little bit too, but like that year of my master's program, I kind of got it down. I remember like finishing a paper while my students were finishing their finals, because you know you have like a 2-hour final block or whatever, and I'm not allowed to help them, so I like had my laptop at school and I was like furiously trying to finish like pages 28, 29, and 30 of this crazy paper, and it takes so much research and so many sources, and oh, it's crazy, but I feel like that was the year that I wrote some of my best work. When I was 29, I feel like everything about 29 was just like learning about pregnancy, learning about babies, learning how to be pregnant, how to survive while you're pregnant. I actually have a couple of videos like how to teach during your first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester. Ooh, it's pretty crazy. That first pregnancy, you just have no idea what to expect. And then I've actually heard that, you know, your second one or third one, that doesn't necessarily go the same way, so I may have to relearn it all over again someday. And now that I'm 30, I feel like I have learned to let myself go. And I don't mean, well, I mean, it does look like I've let myself go, but I don't really mean in that way, but I just mean that it's not about you anymore. Like very quickly, it just, even without thinking, like, of course you're not gonna eat your food, you'll let it get cold, or I had dinners that I didn't eat until the next day, you know, because I was trying to feed him and then, you know, give him a bath or change him or make sure he was okay, and you just forget about yourself almost. And I mean, I think that can get a little too extreme, but he's so little right now. He's only 5 weeks old, and so everything about my life is just making sure that he is cared for. And so if he spits up or something, you know, it's like, oh, okay, spit up all over my shirt. I don't want it, you know, going all over your stuff. Or, you know, if he literally, like, he was peeing the other day while he was on the changing table, I just like stood right in front of it and like caught it all on my shirt. Like, there's probably another way to handle that, but that was just like my instinct. Like, you just want to make sure that they are comfortable at all times and they are taken care of. And if you don't get to eat or shower or do your hair or whatever, it's fine, because you just want to make sure that they're okay. And it's kind of a cool thing to learn. I mean, in marriage, you really learn to be a lot less selfish. Like, you have to be, especially, you know, when like both of your money is gonna, you know, pay your rent or whatever, and you know, you can't just go do whatever you want to do. But definitely when you have a baby, you just learn that yourself is not first anymore. You put your kids like comfort and well-being ahead of your own usually. And you know, you take me time or whatever, but for now you just hang out with them. Now he is like just totally out on my lap here, but I'll try and give you a little sneak. Oh, here. Oh, okay. Okay. No, he's tired. He's sleepy. And I mentioned this in my last video, but if you want to see any more of Jenson, he has taken over my Instagram and my Snapchat. On my Snapchat, I don't know what the deal is, but like some people can add me using the Too Cool for Middle School, and then some people have to use the Mrs. Forbes with like a 4BZ. So if you're having trouble, try both of those. I don't know. I don't understand what's happening with it. I don't know. So anyway, that was kind of a fun little trip down memory lane for me. It's kind of fun to think of all of your years in terms of like what you learned that year. So in the last age that you were, like, you know, if I'm 30 right now, I mean, I haven't learned that much yet. It's just been kind of a crash course. But so like I would do my year 29. What have you learned in the last year that you completed? What do you feel like that year taught you? I'd be curious to know. So leave those comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we are gonna go get some snuggle time, I think. All right. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.